Guys, it's Miss Nicole here with a Teen Hour activity. And today what we're going to be making is some safety pin jewelry. We're going to be making cuffs as well as necklaces. In fact, the one that I'm wearing is my example that I made. And they turn out way nicer than I even anticipated. So to make sure you have all the supplies for this, you're going to want to pop into the library and grab yourself a kit. Inside your kits, there'll be two different types, one for the necklaces and one for the cuffs. What you're going to find is a bunch of safety pins, big old baggie of beads, and you'll have one long strand of stretchy elastic string if it's the necklace, and you'll have two shorter strands of stretchy elastic if you're making the cuff. We're going to start out by doing our necklaces. In fact, I'm going to pull mine off to show you guys again. So this is what we're going to start with first, and because the string is so long, you can make it any length you want. I first tied it at the end and then shortened it. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. First things we're going to do is actually take all of our little safety pins and dump them out on the table. And this is because what we're going to want to use this piece for is actually our beads. So I'm going to go ahead and dump my beads into my container, and there is a variety of colors in there for you guys to choose from to make your own patterns or just do them all rainbow colors. Once they're inside the container, it is so much easier to open a safety pin, and I open them a little bit extra wide to make it easier, and start basically hooking your beads. So you can kind of see I'm very, very tiny beads. These are called seed beads, and so they're probably one of the smallest glass beads that I've ever worked with. And it will take you a little bit of time. What you're actually going to do is fill these up, and they take about 6 to 7 beads on each of them. You don't want to fill it too far because you won't be able to close it if it's stuffed all the way to the top. So that's always a big thing to consider. And then you're only going to do half of the safety pins provided because the other half are going to be spacers in between. So I'm going to set some of these up, and then we'll meet back together here to do the next step. All right, guys, so I have filled up half of the safety pins that are provided in the kit with the beads I want, and I've made a pattern, and you probably noticed as you were filling these up that there's actually 3 separate sizes. We have the teeny tiny one, followed by one that's slightly larger. I'm going to call it the medium-sized one. Whoop. There we go. It's hard to see on the screen. And then you'll find that there's pretty much your large size is your other piece. And for these, what I found works really, really nice is if you do the teeny tiny ones on the outside into the mediums and finish in the center with the large ones. I'm going to tilt my screen down so you guys can kind of see how I spread out all of my pieces, because this is going to be a really important step. You're going to want to have your beads all preset up so that when you're ready to string them, it's nice and simple and your patterns won't get messed up. So hopefully you guys can see that pretty well. Perfect. Because now what we're going to do is we're going to take our long necklace elastic, and we're actually going to start threading these on. And in the instructions, it tells you you can go back to front to keep spacing, which means you have, like, your blank ones could come safety pin top side down in there, followed by your beaded ones. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. They're so tiny. So it would be something like this. Now what I noticed is, you might be able to see it a little bit as I turn, sometimes the ones that you've stuck top side down actually get stuck sticking up, and I found that I liked, for at least the necklace, better just doing them all through the little teeny tiny hole at the front. So you're going to notice that I like to start with a blank one for each of the colors and then follow with my other color pieces, and I'm going to keep threading these in the pattern like I had just shown you down there. So again, you pick whatever pattern you want, whatever colors you want. You don't even have to use all of the safety pins if you don't want to. If you have more safety pins at home that you'd like to use, you're welcome to add those as well. We're going to meet back up after I've gotten all of mine strung back on to show you the next step. If it will pause for me, that's it. Actually, guys, I wanted to show you one little thing. If you look at this really closely, you can see my dark blue beads are all facing forward, but I accidentally strung my light blue beads backwards. And this is something you're probably going to have to watch for a lot, is when you're threading them, you actually want all of the beaded sides to be facing the same direction. Otherwise, it's not going to be quite as pretty, I should say, when you're finished. Okay, now they're all lined up the way that they're supposed to be. You can probably see them a little bit better there. Alrighty, now we keep stringing. Alrighty guys, so now I've got it all rethreaded on here in the pattern I like, and it gives you plenty of time to change it if you're not a fan of it. Now it's actually pretty much almost done, and there's two ways to finish this. One, you can just line the two pieces up with themselves and give it a really good knot. I highly recommend doing the full knot this way, and as you notice, it kind of undoes itself. Sorry, it's slightly off from the camera. You can see that it's a little bit loose, so I like to split the threads again and knot it again, because it's kind of just the way stretchy elastic is meant to be. And sometimes, like I said, it's going to take a couple of knots. Once you've got it all knotted the way that you want it and it's nice and tight, you would go ahead and grab your scissors and trim those little pieces off at the end. Now the other way to do this is actually if you wanted to make it really short. So this would be perfect for long. I can even put it over my glasses and my hair tie and wear it, not a problem. But if you wanted it to be shorter like a choker, which necessarily, you know, needs to be a lot smaller and might struggle to get over your neck, we're actually going to use the one last thing you probably noticed that I haven't talked about yet in the kit is this giant safety pin. And that giant safety pin is actually going to be used kind of like a clasp, like we would for like a regular piece of jewelry. And what we'll do is we'll take one end of our elastic yarn, slide it through the circle hole that we've been doing for all of them, and then knot it on there. So again, that's going to be a bunch of different knots to make sure it actually stays closed, and you would trim off the little tail end, and then you're going to grab the other piece of your necklace elastic, and you're actually going to knot it on the top part through that little spot there. And what this does is it lets you keep the necklace itself much shorter and still be able to take it on and off, because you will just open this piece, slide this part down, and be able to take it off and put it back on. So that's basically that part. And next we're going to be doing the cuffs. So for the cuffs, you're going to notice that all of your safety pins are the same size. And you're going to have about 75 of them, so it is an awful lot. And just like we did for our necklace, you're actually going to lay these all out in a row, and you're going to do every other safety pin with your colors to create your patterns. I'm going to go ahead and get started on doing that on my end, and I'll meet you guys back here in just a couple minutes. Alright guys, so I've gotten all of mine for the cuff ready. You can probably hopefully see at least some of it. There we go. And you can see I kind of just did a basic rainbow pattern across. And what we're going to do is at this point take our two pieces of stretchy elastic, and you're actually going to be threading these, and this is one that you're going to have to do the top to bottom thing, and to get the top one in, it doesn't quite sit right on its own, so we're actually going to kind of get a little tension and pull it. And then the nice thing with this is it does tend to stay in place, which makes threading the next piece, which is your empty one on, followed by your next one with color, and then your next blank one all the way down. It holds them in place and makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're only working with the one strand of it right now. Once I have this fully threaded, we'll go on how to do the second thread. See you guys in just a second. Alright guys, so now I've got my entire thing threaded. You can see my little pattern has shown up really nicely, and again, just like the necklaces, you want to make sure all the beads side out are facing the same direction. Now we actually get to do that same threading process, maybe a little bit faster with our second piece here. And what you're going to be essentially doing, and this is what I found was the easiest, is just going through it first and sliding it all the way down, and then start tucking in the top pieces, because remember, those are the ones that kind of keep it in place because they're a little bit smaller. I'm going to go ahead and thread it real fast, and we'll start meeting back up in just a few minutes. Alrighty guys, so I just finished stringing all of mine on. You can kind of see they're awfully close to each other. That's okay, they will stretch out a little bit. And what we are going to do to finish this off is we're actually just going to tie our ends together. So what that means is you're going to tie the ends, the top end to the top piece and the bottom end to the bottom piece. I know that sounds like utter nonsense, so let me show you what I'm talking about. So for instance, let's get this last one down a little bit. Oops. Sorry guys. It is a little fiddly. I'm sure you guys are noticing the same thing, but we are so close to the end. So you can see this top one goes through the entire top part here, and I'm going to tie those two pieces together. It's gonna take me a moment. Again, just like the necklace piece, you really have to make several knots. You have to really pull them and tighten it to make it so it's going to work and stay together, just because the elastic string has that tendency to slip and slide. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie that top one, and then we're gonna tie the bottom one to itself as well. So, and I'll meet you there in just a second. Alrighty, and now you can kind of see I've got the pieces tied together. I know it's a little awkward, the black color makes it hard. And what I'm going to do now is just trim off these little edges, little dangly bits. Don't want to trim them too tight, too close to it. You might accidentally nick your knot, which is absolutely not what you want to have happen. And once that's on there, I'm going to stretch my beads out just a little bit. And what I end up with is a really nice bracelet that's going to go around your wrist. Makes it like a nice little cuff. Sometimes things need to be adjusted a little. There we go. And so then it turns out really fun, and hopefully your patterns will be something you really enjoy as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this, and I hope you guys had fun making these, because I did. And yeah, don't forget to pick up your kits from the teen area here at the Fern Ridge Public Library. Thank you.